I call on Michael Matheson, Cabinet Secretary. Up to 10 minutes, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Today I'd like to update Parliament on the outcome of the ScotWind leasing round, a major milestone in our journey to net zero. ScotWind will provide us with enough power for every home in Scotland, place Scotland at the forefront of the green hydrogen revolution, and allow us to become a major exporter of clean energy. There is a huge economic prize on offer, at least £1 billion of investment for every gigawatt built, which will help to create thousands of jobs and transform the Scottish economy. This is the first offshore wind leasing round held since the devolution of the Scottish Crown Estate and has been administered by Crown Estate Scotland, who announced winning applicants yesterday. ScotWind was created with delivery at its core. It was established with the aim of creating a strong pipeline of projects that would drive our just transition and serve as a cornerstone in delivering our commitment to tackle the climate crisis. We put this challenge to the market, and the market has responded so positively that Crown Estate Scotland has been able to offer awards for 17 major projects. This is a tremendous vote of confidence in Scotland. The levels of ambition shown by the market recognises the seriousness of Scotland's commitment to achieving our net zero targets and sustainable economic growth. In particular, ScotWind is by far the world's largest commercial round for floating offshore wind and breaks new ground in putting large-scale floating wind technology on the map at gigawatt scale. This is encouraging to see the ambition that has been set out by the provision of floating offshore wind. As you may be aware, Presiding Officer, our seabed is considerably deeper than waters in England and Wales, and without technology such as floating wind, it would not be possible to develop renewable energy projects in these areas. It's therefore inspiring to see the tremendous rate of innovation in this technology and what more could be possible 10 to 15 years from now in this fast-moving and growing sector. Likewise, many of the consortia successful in securing lease options have ambitions for green hydrogen. This presents a range of new energy and export opportunities for Scotland and will help us achieve our ambition of generating 5 gigawatts of renewable and low-carbon hydrogen by 2030 and at least 25 gigawatts by 2045. We will be considering these opportunities and what this will mean for our energy system further in our energy strategy and just transition plan later this year. ScotWind will also deliver around £700 million in revenue to the public purse for these initial awards alone. We've already made clear that we will invest from these monies to help to tackle the twin climate and biodiversity crisis. But in addition to these revenues, ScotWind promises to deliver billions more in rental revenues once projects become operational, to be invested for the benefit of the people of Scotland. Importantly, ScotWind promises to be transformational in delivering wider economic supply chain benefits to help power Scotland's green recovery the length and breadth of the country. As part of the bidding process, all applicants had to submit a supply chain development statement outlining how they will deliver benefits to Scotland. I welcome the commitment made by developers to invest at least £1 billion in the Scottish supply chain for every gigawatt generated via ScotWind projects. The Supply Chain Development Statement, a mechanism that was developed through engagement with the Parliament, provides us with an excellent tool to ensure that, working with the sector, Scottish communities reap the maximum possible economic benefit from ScotWind projects. These statements are not only an indication of what Scotland can achieve, they are our expectation of what the winners will deliver for Scotland. We must now work together to ensure this happens. As highlighted in the Strategic Infrastructure Assessment for offshore wind, which was commissioned by the Scottish Offshore Wind Energy Council, there needs to be greater collaboration between developers, the supply chain and the public sector, both to help focus activity and investment in Scottish ports and help Scottish suppliers to grow and win offshore wind work. We work closely with SOEC to implement the 5 key recommendations in the Strategic Infrastructure Assessment, starting with the creation of a Scottish floating offshore wind port cluster, with ports acting in partnership to provide the required infrastructure area and capability needed to attract manufacturers to invest in Scotland. To help achieve this, SOEC is leading on the development of a collaborative framework to encourage the sector to come together and work collectively to support the delivery of offshore wind projects from ScotWind, with a focus on growing capability and expertise, particularly around the growth of floating offshore wind. We fully support the creation of the collaborative framework, and we expect the successful ScotWind projects to actively engage in this process from the outset, and to take collective action not only to grow Scotland's supply chain, but also to help deliver the wider economic transformation that will benefit communities across Scotland. To that end, the scale of the winning bids augurs well for creating the volume of sustained demand that will mark a step change in developing the capability and capacity of Scotland's infrastructure and its manufacturing and service sector. We are at the start of a journey which will take some years before we see these developments constructed. As well as supply chain opportunities, the focus now switches to the planning and consenting regimes, ensuring that these work as effectively as possible as we process applications from developers and the potential that can be delivered in light of environmental and other impacts. Clearly, the stated collective aspiration of the projects which have been awarded options are highly ambitious, and this is to be welcomed. ScotWind will make Scotland a global leader in offshore wind energy, and all the consortia holding options are fully aware of the responsibilities that come with the development opportunities they have won. However, ScotWind will also be shaped by our continuing commitment to responsible stewardship of our incredibly rich natural marine resources, as well as the need to fully understand the impact on other marine users. We work with sectors and with all affected stakeholders to ensure this process and its benefits are realised in a manner which recognises the concerns of all interests as we embark on this journey. It is not possible at this stage to predict what scale of development will be permitted, but through our internationally recognised sectoral marine planning and licensing process, there is an established pathway to facilitate development. By following due process, taking into account all stakeholders and consideration about impact, the Scottish Government can maximise the huge opportunities for energy, for the environment and for the economy that the large-scale development of offshore wind can bring to Scotland. Presiding Officer, these ScotWind awards are a phenomenal mark of confidence in the Scottish offshore wind sector. We are now the biggest offshore wind market in the world and demonstrating global leadership in tackling the climate challenge. However, the real work starts now. Tomorrow, the First Minister and I will hold a summit with all of the successful parties. We'll be clear in stating our expectations to all involved. I will also meet successful developers, both collectively and individually, on an ongoing basis, to understand how we can work together in a collaborative manner to deliver the best for Scotland. In addition, the Minister for Environment and Land Reform is meeting today and tomorrow with marine environmental interests and with fishers to ensure that their perspectives and concerns are taken into account. This, Presiding Officer, is a once-in-a-generation opportunity which has to be realised, has to be maximised and has to deliver the environmental and economic benefits for all of the people of Scotland. It is worth just pointing out this is the first ScotWind leasing round. There is an opportunity for further ScotWind leasing rounds in the years ahead. Raising it to 300 megawatts potentially compromises ScotWind and its developments. And that's one of the reasons as to why it's been capped at 100 megawatts and why it's different from the approach that's been taken in England and Wales. And it's, as I say, its key purpose is to drive innovation in the sector. And those who are involved in innovation side of the sector are very supportive of the levels which we've set the cap at. Made to potentially invest what could be £25 billion into the Scottish supply chain, with the potential for a further £10 billion to be invested in the Scottish supply chain. And that is good for the Scottish economy and it is good for Scottish communities as well. In relation to his wider point, I suspect he's making reference to the fact whether it should all be just Scottish or UK-based businesses, or it should all be in public control, public sector control, if we only had those powers in order to do so within the energy sector itself. Because his colleague incorrectly made reference to the Scottish Energy Company, which was a retail company, not a production company, because we don't have the capacity or the ability to be able to do so, or the powers to be able to do so. So I don't know whether the member's now saying that we should nationalise energy because his leader in London said no, that's not their policy. But what we want to do is to make sure we secure the economic benefits from Scotland, and that's exactly what the supply chain development plans were all about doing. And I hope the member will be able to find it in himself to welcome such a significant investment in the Scottish economy. Presiding Officer, we are given consideration as to how this funding will be deployed, and one of the things that we have committed to doing is to make sure that it helps to support us in achieving our net zero ambitions and to tackle both the climate and biodiversity crisis. But we want to also make sure that we use this funding in a way that allows us to have a legacy that can benefit all of Scotland and all communities in Scotland, and to make sure we capitalise on it in a way that has a long-term benefit to every part of Scotland, including those that may be looking at the building of vessels here in Scotland. And I've got no doubt that the member will want to engage with those companies who have made commitments to businesses based in his constituency, businesses which are highly valued in his constituency and provide a lot of employment within his constituency, to ensure that these Tier 1 companies who have secured lease options live up to the commitments that they have set out within their supply statement within their bids.
Stephen Kerr, to be followed by Mark Ruskell.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. The Cabinet Secretary seems to accept that the SNP didn't deliver on their economic promise of making Scotland into the Saudi Arabia of wind power, and they didn't deliver on the thousands of jobs that they promised, green jobs that they promised. And the Cabinet Secretary told Liam Kerr and Colin Smith that the government will do everything it can to ensure that we see onshore supply chain development and local manufacturing content and the jobs that everyone is talking about. So what exactly does the Cabinet Secretary mean when he says that the government will do everything we can? And I refer members to my register of interest.
Cabinet Secretary.
You know, the member seems to have quite a short-term memory issue, because he may recall that one of the reasons as to why there was a sudden halt to a significant level of wind development, energy development in Scotland, was because of the UK Government's decision to cut the subsidy to supporting the industry, which resulted in a massive downturn within the sector alone. No doubt the member will be wanting to make sure that in the CFD process, which I'm sure he's aware of, the CFD process, which the UK Government is responsible for, that it holds up the commitments that they have made to ensure that they help to support the supply chain development. And that's why, for the first time in the UK, we have required through a leasing round the supply chain development statements. And the purpose behind that is to make sure we don't make the errors that the UK Government did, who were responsible for the last leasing round, where they made no requirements upon the industry. So I can assure the member we'll be doing everything we can to deliver on these commitments, And what we won't do is we won't repeat the mistakes of his colleagues at Westminster in mismanaging Scotland's oil and gas reserves and its renewable energy reserves, as it has done for many, many decades.